Hi and welcome to class. I'm very excited to have you today as I am feeling inspired by the weather once again. The warmer months are coming and I can feel it in my body. I feel that heat and playfulness that allows me to feel like I can just do anything. So we're going to get started in a moment, but we're going to use just gravity and our bodies and of course a mat to do this workout. But we are also going to use this ball, a pinky ball or a tennis ball, something small that you can give your feet some loving with in the form of a massage. So go ahead and find your prop and meet me on the mat. We'll come to standing. All right, we're going to begin with a foot massage. We're going to use a pinky ball if you have one. If you don't, you can do this by sitting and giving yourself a foot rub in any position that's comfortable for you. So go ahead and set your ball on the floor, mat or hard surface, and get into a position where you can place your foot on the ball and perhaps maybe even have a hand on the wall or a chair and begin to massage one of your fabulous feet. Okay, so you're just going to put the ball down on the mat and push into it and then roll that foot around. That's your first sort of phase of giving your feet a bit of love. We'll go and just sort of try to cover the whole underside of the foot with love and massage. Imagine that your foot is or your ball is covered in paint and it's getting your foot nice and colorful on the underside. Looking for somebody's having a little trouble connecting. Okay. So without doing anything overly elaborate, see if you can go in search of your tender spots, right? So some days you won't have any and that's wonderful, but it's more common that you will. And so we're going to try to locate them and make sure we massage them. The inner arch sometimes can be a very bright place with a lot of sensation. So you can check there. Also near the heel, in the connection of the arch and the heel. And then a tricky place to commit to, because it's a little bit hard to keep the ball underfoot, but worth the effort, is the outer foot. Sometimes that's going to be your sort of sneaky sleeper zone that needs that extra massage. So we're going to do that. And again, if you don't have a ball, that's okay. You can just give your foot a massage that involves your thumbs and fingertips kind of moving the bones, trying to give your little bones of the foot a little bit of extra movement and separation, just because those bones are all there to move. Those joints that connect them are points of movement. So we're just inviting in a little bit of movement. And to that cause, we're going to do one more thing here with the ball. We're going to place the ball under the ball of the foot. The heel will be down on the mat. We'll take our other foot a little bit behind us so we have this staggered stance, and then we're just going to weight shift into the ball and then backing off. And we're going to do this in a series of positions. The first position is around the joint where your big toe meets your foot, so towards the inner edge of your foot. We'll do that a few times, and then we'll move knuckle by knuckle so that the ball kind of pushes up from underneath one of the knuckles of the foot, and you're going to set your weight deep into the ball or as far into it as feels safe, because you're gonna, you know, if it's tender there, you don't need to get too wicked about it. And then move to the next knuckle. So 5 toes, 5 different locations that ball will live. And we're not right under the toes, just in case that's not clear. We're under that pad of the ball of the foot where the toes actually connect into the rest of the foot. So this is about, 2, 3 each knuckle, give or take, and you can choose to spend a little more time on any location that feels like we need that. Okay, so we're in a sense stretching the tops of the feet by wrapping that foot around the ball, and we're giving the muscles underneath a little massage to that deep penetration of that firm ball. Okay, and then we can take the ball out from under that first foot. Just stand for a moment on the 2 feet, and then we'll switch sides, but it's nice to just pause and feel into what's good about that. What about that made your foot feel happy? So we're going to go ahead and set up for the second side. We'll move off the mat because it keeps causing it to rumple up, but you're going to choose your position according to what feels good for you. Some of the factors are a firmer surface will help the ball feel a little firmer and go a little deeper if you're feeling like you need that extra pressure. But if your foot is feeling tender and the ball is feeling a little rough on your feet, you can move to a padded surface, including the carpet or your mat, and it'll kind of tone it down a little bit. So just as before, you're going to try to cover the entire underside of the foot, imagining you've got paint on the ball so you don't miss any little morsel of that surface area. And you know, as the seasons change, especially from winter to spring and on into summer, we're going to tend to wear different footwear. And so by massaging the feet today, we're kind of celebrating that our feet are going to get liberated here in the next several months, and we get to you know, feel the fresh air between our toes, and it's really helpful if we take good care of our feet during these seasons. And you know, there's really no time that's not good, but let's just celebrate spring a little bit with our foot massage. And then we'll place the ball underneath the ball of the foot, and again stagger your feet so that one is forward and one is back, and we have the ball first under the first toe, and then we just rock forward and back. And if you have room to, you can add a little extra grip of the foot over the ball, like you're trying to wrap your foot around the ball, and just notice how that feels. It's going to help invite some movement into those joints, which we definitely want. And we're switching now maybe to the second toe, and letting your balance be part of your first little movement experience. We are waking up little connections that run from the feet all the way up to your brain, and that by doing that, we kind of are actually turning on things that, you know, you might think you had to do bigger, more full body exercises to get into, but we're stimulating connections that are vital to your body's just health and ability to stand upright. All right, so when you are ready, you can step off of the ball and just let it be while you check in with your second foot, and then we'll go ahead and make our way to the mat if you are off, and step into a stance that has you with mat enough behind you, because you're going to use that soft padding for your feet. What we're going to do next is continue our little foot care. We're going to take the right foot and step it behind us. You might like to position yourself with something to hold on to, the wall or otherwise, but if you're all right without, go ahead and continue. You're going to set the toes on the mat upside down, so the top of the foot is down, and there's a stretch to be had right there. If you'd like to go a little deeper, perhaps you might bend your front knee and start to lower into something of a squat as you just hold that stretch. And then beginning to sort of notice what your body has to offer, what that stretch has to offer you. If you have room to, you might kick your foot as if you were to kick it forward, kick it down into the mat. See if you can keep your ankle neutral. If it wants to do this big flop out to the side, that's going to be an indication that you're tighter on the inner foot. We're going to bring our heel in so we can stretch that tightness. And then go ahead and release. Take your right foot back to its home position, and then step your left foot behind, toes tucked under. And just starting upright, see what the tops of the feet on the left have to say. And if you feel like it's calling out to you, you might go ahead and bend the right knee. And these are all good stretches, so it's not like you're picking harder or easier. You're just kind of reading your body to find out what your body needs, and maybe you're rolling in and out of all these positions. And then we'll go ahead and step the feet together. If that was really intense for you, you're not alone. Those are some sort of unobvious, sneakily strong stretches. So we're going to take our feet into a wide turnout, and then begin to glide your hips side to side, giving your pelvis and your thighs a little motion, and then we're going to stir it, creating a little bit of a deeper movement in the joints, and then reverse. Good. And then coming back to center, we're going to take our arms out to the sides and overhead. And then as we lower, we're going to bring ourselves into a squat. Let the arms cross in front, and then reach up, rise up. Good. and lower. And as the arms cross in front, if you have the capacity, see if you can just let them switch which one is in front. But if you can't do that right now, that's okay. And feel your whole body move in this way. That's giving you this opportunity to fill up this big movement and bring in some big breaths and some big energy. Let your knees stretch wide and your hips sink down, maybe even below the knees. This is not a requirement, just an invitation. You don't have to stop yourself at any particular point. And reach. Warming up some bigger muscles helps bring some energy and mobility to even the smaller zones in the body. And let's take that up to the sky and then lower the arms down by your sides and let the arms spin around your center. Give your arms a little extra momentum. Let this be a powerful swing that twists you deeply and flings your arms way out from your center. If you don't have room, you can do this less sort of energized. And then we're going to come back to center. Taking your hands to your hips now, we're going to lower into a squat. This time bringing your hips back and down just about to knee level or a little above. Hold there. Take your knees, see if you spin them a little bit wider while you connect your big toes into the mat a little more deeply. We're going to pulse here. We're going to just really find that energy of the glutes that open the knees, pulling them wide, keeping the feet active into the mat, and then connecting into our abdominals, trying to keep the sense of tone there that draws the bottom ribs back over the pelvis and the low abdominals lifting in and up. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come all the way up. Taking that again, we're going to lower down, fold at the hips and knees and ankles. From here, we're going to lift the right heel. Stay with that and we'll pulse again. Starting to find some of that work you might have been looking for when you signed up for class today. We're going to dip those sit bones down and back for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the heel up, lengthen, lower the heel down. Set your booty right back down, left side, heel rises, and we pulse. Spin the knees open, stretch the inner thighs. Keep equal weight on all 5 toes. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Straighten up, lower the heel down. Take the arms up to the sky, lower into your squat. There's just a freedom of movement here, nothing too aggressive. Let the arms fly free. And one more time, reach up. And then from here, turn your toes parallel, so bring them forward. And we're going to roll down through the spine, bringing your hands to the mat or letting your knees soften as much as you need to so you can reach the mat. Breathe in, and on the exhale, gaze towards your belly button as you stretch the legs towards straight. Inhale to soften. Exhale to stretch the legs long. Even if they don't fully lengthen, that's okay. We're going to lift the bottom ribs, lift the spine, and lift the sit bones high. And then bend both knees and straighten just the right. Bring your hands over towards your left foot and knee. And then soften both knees. Walk your hands over to the right. Keep the right knee soft. Stretch your left leg towards straight. And breathe. And then come to center. Bring your breath into your back ribs. Exhale, roll all the way up to standing. Step your feet in towards one another, coming into a more narrow parallel. Take your arms up to the sky. Exhale, roll down. Bringing your fingertips towards your toes.
letting the knees bend as much as you need to bring your fingertips to the mat. Take another breath into those back ribs. On the exhale, look towards your belly button. Lengthen the legs towards straight. Soft knees. And exhale, stretch them long. Keep going. Inhale to bend. Exhale to stretch. Bring your attention to your feet and see if you can bring that first toe, that joint where your big toe and the foot connect, into the mat while you straighten the legs. Even that subtle difference can make the stretch much different and more intense, help us to connect into something we otherwise might be missing. One more time. And then roll up to standing, riding that exhale all the way up. Inhale the arms to the sky. Exhale, reach the arms forward as you fold into a squat. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold. The arms can reach towards the ground. I'm going to turn and then folding into your squat, hold. Set your hands on your knees, drop your shoulders down. Take another breath, and on the exhale, curl the head and tail under, finding your cat stretch. Inhale your heart forward, sit bones up and back. And again, exhale to round. Inhale to extend. And again, try to soften the shoulders where you can. And reach through the sit bones, reach the heart forward. One more time, round. And then release into your forward fold. Take your hands to the mat. Maybe your knees are deeply bent. Step your right foot around and behind the left. Try to stretch both legs towards straight in that position. Even if they're not fully straight, find the stretch. Connect your big toes into the mat. Soften the knees. Step your right foot back to its home position. Step your left foot behind the right. Soft knees, hands on the mat, fingertips just lightly touching is fine. And then stretch your legs towards straight and push the big toes into the mat. Bringing your eyes towards your belly button. And then bring your feet back into parallel. Soft knees. Reach your arms forward as your hips come down. Move into your squat once again. Take your shoulders back. Let your hips come as low as they can with the heels down. And then draw your bottom ribs back from your thighs. Stay there and let your arms travel slowly towards the mat. And then let them move even a little bit in space behind you. Keeping your body centered over your feet. And inhale to reach the arms forward. And exhale. Sweeping back and forward and sweeping back and forward and all the way up, reaching your arms wide and down. We're going to turn into a side position on your mat so you can use the space of the lateral body. I'm going to have you start with your feet in a turnout to the right side of your mat. We're going to take the left foot on a big step and lunge to, I said right. Let's do the left side of your mat so you can step your right foot. So if I miscued you, let me reboot. We're going to start on the left side of your mat and step right. So take your right foot out into a big lunge. Let it take your torso over that bending knee and then step your feet together. And we'll do that a couple of times. Just to find our movement, our position, our flow. Good. Now we're going to add something. We're going to take our lunge, and rather than bring the feet together, we're going to step the right foot behind the left into our curtsy. Come up, step lunge, step back, and curtsy. So you don't have to move particularly fast, but once you get going, you're welcome to move at the pace that suits you. Bring your arms into it. Take your opposite arm, across your body towards the bending knee in front. So there's a sort of running arm and a little bit of twist in the upper body. We'll do 2 more. And 1 more. And then come all the way up, step your feet wide, and take those big hip circles again. And then we'll just reverse the circles and reverse our movement to the other side. So we'll step a little bit over, like to the sort of 1/3 mark on the right side of our mat, stepping our left foot to the left. Hands on your hips or wherever they serve you. If you could do better balance size with your hands out to the sides, by all means. So you're gonna step and lunge, push off to come all the way back. The size of your lunge could be any range from just a foot to 2 to 3 feet out from your hips, and play with that for fun. And then we're gonna add our curtsy behind. So you'll step lunge, step back, bend both knees, then we lunge, step back, dip. The key to our curtsy is that crossing of the knees, bringing both knees across the midline. Adding the arms, just a little crossing of the body, opposite arm, elbow towards knee. And we'll do that 2 more times. Lunge and twist, curtsy and twist. Last one. Come to that wide stance. Take your toes out to the sides and big hip circles. And reverse. And then we're going to take the feet back in together. Let's do a turnout and move to the back of our mat. So heels are together, toes are apart. We'll do a big arm circle up to the sky. Exhale to roll all the way down. Soften the knees at the bottom. Let your head fall into gravity. As you exhale, stretch the legs towards straight. Inhale to bend. Exhale to stretch. Inhale to soften. Exhale, look towards your belly button. And again. 2 more. 1 more. And then from here, walk your hands out to a downward dog. Heels still together. Keeping that turnout. Soften the knees. Set your shoulders in place low on your rib cage. And then if it feels possible to stretch the legs towards straight, by all means. And then from here, we're going to bend the knees and bring the hips back towards the heels. And then exhale, push out to a plank. Inhale, bend the knees, bring your hips back towards your heels. Squeeze the thighs together, move forward to plank. We're going to go for 6 more. You can pause sooner and take a rest in child's pose. 3 more. And 2. And 1. And then let's come to parallel, land the knees, and move right now into child's pose. So you'll sit your hips back towards your heels. If your hips can't reach your heels, that's okay. If there's some discomfort there, putting a cushion between your heels and your sit bones can help make that a little less awkward and uncomfortable. Let your head fall into gravity and take advantage of the magic of breathing here as you fill up the back lungs and really open up those tight spots in the back. And spots kind of implies like little polka dots on the body. And instead of that, it's really more like bands or wide swaths of long muscles, tight and short. Let's come forward now to our all fours position and take your knees out to the sides and then keep your toes together. Lift your sit bones up in the air and reach your hips back over your heels for a stretch to the muscles of the glutes as you fold at the hips. And then rock forward and take your knees together, toes apart. Lift your tailbone and stretch back. Same as before, lifting your tailbone all the way back, folding at the hips, trying to stretch some of the fascia around the sacrum and the sit bones. And then coming forward, we're going to take our feet into parallel. Take your right hand up to the sky. And we'll thread the needle. Slide that arm under the left. Let your head come to rest on the mat with the shoulder as well. And breathe into your twisted rib cage and your sort of twisted lungs. And then pushing into the mat, reach that right arm up to the sky and circle it around and back. Let's take the left arm up, stretch wide and open the shoulders, and then thread the needle, taking that left shoulder and head down to the mat. Pressing into the mat with the right hand can help deepen your spiral. Breathe into those tighter places. And then push into the mat, reach the left arm up to the sky and circle it back to the mat. We're going to step the right foot to the outside of the right hand and begin with our rocking stretch, bringing the hips forward and back. And then circle the pelvis around the center of the mat to create that yummy stirring energy again in the hips. And then pause here, taking your toes tucked under on the back leg, stretch the back leg to straight. If that doesn't feel good, keeping the knee down is just as viable. Push into the mat and hold. Then take your right hand to your right knee and push into the knee to help you twist and open your shoulders to the right. From there, if you're able, reaching the right arm up to the sky, stretching the arms open. Creating that space across the body from hand to hand, from palm to palm, wrist to wrist, and then circle the hand back to the mat. Take the left knee down, and then take your hips back towards your heels and flex the right foot, bringing the toes off of the mat. Shrug the shoulders down, reach your heart forward. Take your right hand to the toes and guide them back. And then let's rock forward again and step your right foot all the way out to the right so it's directly out from your left knee. And then position your hands directly underneath your chest, and you're going to place your right palm down and reach your left arm up to the sky. Turning away from that right foot, stretching that right adductor. And then bring that left hand back down to the mat. Step your right knee in. Your hands might need to be reset, so go ahead and do that now. And then step your left foot to the outside of your left hand, where we'll begin to rock forward and back. And then stir the pots, move those hips. Get gooey with your whole body, really. Let the shoulders feel that gooiness and the hips, and then reverse your direction. And then take your toes tucked under on that back leg. Stretch that heel back, finding that length to the right leg. Push into the mat, hold for a few moments, and then step your left hand to your left knee and push into the knee to twist your heart to the left. From there, spinning, if you feel that calling, reaching the left arm up to the sky, turning, opening, brightening the light that shines from your heart, reaching it out in all directions. And then circle that hand back to the mat. Lower the back knee down, rock your hips back, draw your toes back. With your heart reaching forward, shoulders sliding down, guide your toes back with your left hand. Kick the heel even into the mat as if you're dragging it towards you. And then we'll rock forward. And then take your left foot out to the side, straight out to the left. Place your hands underneath your chest. And then left hand center, right hand reaching up. Turn, open to the right, stretching that inner thigh. And then circle the hand back to the mat. Come to the hands and knees, make your way maybe a little bit further forward. We're going to take our hands wider than the shoulders, lift up through the arms, so you're going to push the mat down, and then let's sink and rise a few times, feeling the shoulders come into clear focus as they fold, soften, and stretch. And then pushing into the mat. Feel it not just from the arms, but from the rib cage moving back into the sling of the shoulders. So we've done this with a TheraBand before. If you can remember, pinning the TheraBands to the mat under your hands and wrapping it around the back of the rib cage. Think of moving your rib cage back into that band, and it'll feel less effort in the arms and more of a whole body connection. And then we're going to step the right foot back into a plank position. Step the left foot back and hold. Keep lifting the rib cage into the band as you just keep breathing. Nod the chin, bring the base of the skull towards the ceiling, and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower down. Take your arms overhead as you stretch your hips back towards your heels. Take both hands over to the right and pull against that left side for a bigger stretch. And then walk your hands over to the other side and create that same stretch on the right side of the waist. And then bring your hands both out to either side of the mat. Come forward. We're going to do a pigeon stretch or glute stretch here. If that's not your jam, you can roll to your back and do a figure 4. Let's slide the left knee forward and the right knee back. And you can even kind of work your way back from your left knee with your toes on the right. Stay here for a moment, letting gravity draw you into your stretch a little more fully, letting the left glute unwind over time. And then with some ease through your body, you can melt your upper body over that left thigh, inviting in a softer, deeper stretch. And then let's come up from there. Take your right leg, activated, arms long, lifted through the spine, and then see if you can feel your low abdominals draw away from your front thigh as you slowly bend your right knee. We're just going to pull the heel towards us without a hand for now, but see if that feels possible in your body. You're going to try to roll onto the top of the right thigh rather than the knee. If it bothers your knee at all, we'll avoid that extra piece. And then think of scissoring the legs together like you're pulling the right thigh forward and the left thigh back. And then release, tuck your toes under on the right foot, and come back from there to your plank position. Take that same idea of lifting your ribcage into the band to create that whole body support system. The eyes are down, the chin is sliding towards the throat. And then lower the knees, take your rest position, hips back towards your heels. And then we're going to slide forward and bring the right knee forward between the hands, or lie on our back for our figure 4 stretch. Wiggle and work your way into the stretch that feels the best for you, really leaning into that right glute. Perhaps you even roll the hip towards the mat, staying upright for a few moments just to feel the energy of your lifted spine and the weight of that structure resting down into your glute. And then when you're ready, you can take your hands to the mat out in front of the knee and rest your forearms and your upper body over that thigh and soften around the places that stretch. And then we'll come up from there. Place your hands on the mat wide under your shoulders once again, active through the arms. Lift the abdominals and activate that back leg and pull that heel towards you with a sense of connection to the hamstring on the back of the leg. And then pull your thighs together as if you're dragging the left hip forward and the right hip back, activating those very connections we're stretching. And then we'll carefully unwind from there. Take the hands to the mat underneath the shoulders, tuck your toes under on the back leg, float back into your plank. Push down, lift up, breathe. And then we're going to lower all the way down. Knees can come down first. And then take your right hand under your forehead, reach back and hold your left ankle. You're going to draw your thighs towards one another, lifting your abdominals and stretching your legs, both of them, long down the mat. Imagine they both could grow a little extra length as your abdominals lift. And then while we're here, let's kick the foot into the hand and offer our upper body a little stretch into that beautiful extension. Heart forward, shoulders back and down, opening the front body. And then release, switching sides. Taking the right ankle in your hand, beginning with the forehead resting down. Narrow the thighs, draw your pubic bone down into the mat. And then reach through the knee on the right leg. Feel the engagements that fall into place with your glutes and your hamstrings as you reach the knee out. And then kick your foot into your hand and let it offer you a lift, giving your heart a chance to stretch open in the front. And then we'll release. And then push off, hands to the mat. Crawl your knees forward. We're going to transition to seated, so you're going to cross your ankles, roll back, or find your own way. Once you're there, we're going to have a seat and then make our way down to the mat. You can hold on to the sides of the legs and lower yourself all the way down. Once you're there in position, take your feet into parallel, and we'll do a quick little bit of clocking. So bring your hands to your pelvis, and we're going to tip the pelvis to 12 o'clock and then to 6. 12 being your belly button, 6 being your pubic bone. And then we're going to add our exhale on that 12 o'clock tilt. The exhale that gives us the core connection, the famous Pilates scoop. And then I'm going to bring your attention to your pelvic floor. Now, your pelvic floor is a part of the body that doesn't necessarily flex in a way that really demands your brain to get involved. It's a real sort of intuitive, primitive connection. So I don't want to overthink it, and I don't want you to think you should either. But I like this image a lot, and so I'm going to introduce it here. The pelvic floor is connecting our pubic bone, sit bones, and tailbone in a web of muscles that when they contract, they actually kind of dome up into the pelvic cavity, into our abdomen, as if they were like taking on the shape of a dome or a plunger. And an even better example would be the sort of doming action of a jellyfish as it swims upward towards the surface, right? And so if you're lucky and live in the Santa Cruz area, you've probably seen the jellyfish exhibit at the Monterey Bay Aquarium, which is so stunning. We're going to visualize on each exhale that the pelvic floor has that beautiful sort of jellyfish-like undulation inward and upward, just to help us start to include some of this connection of the inner thighs into the pelvis, which is very real. So go ahead and try a few more on the exhale. And if the pelvic floor is the dome of the jellyfish, then let the inner thighs be like those long strands of tentacles that follow the jellyfish upward, right? So a jellyfish has parts just like we do, but the whole thing is what's swimming through the water. So see if you can feel the wholeness of your inner connections up the inner legs into your abdomen that also feeds your core that deeper connection. Okay? And so on your next exhale, we're going to use the jellyfish image to help us gather inwards, and then continue that as we peel up into our bridge. At the top, hold, draw your shoulders open, reach the knees out over the toes, which connects us to our hamstrings and glutes, and see if on each exhale, you can further kind of connect into that deep connection of the inner thighs, pelvic floor, and low abdominals that feels as a whole like that jellyfish sort of swimming in and up along this line of our spine. And then we'll take another few moments. Take your breath in. On the exhale, jellyfish on your way down. Inhale, release. Exhale, jellyfish, and come up. You can replace the term jellyfish with scoop or just exhale if you'd like. But seeing if this deeper awareness of the pelvic floor and inner thighs feeds your core a little better definition. Exhale, jellyfish your way down. We're going to do that one more time. Take another breath, and on the exhale, feel that jellyfish connection and bring yourself up and find your way to the top. Now the top is a position we hold, but it's never a static moment. We're deepening our connections every breath. Jellyfish every exhale, and then we'll take another breath, and on the exhale, both jellyfish and float one leg and land it down, and again. We're going to do one more each side. And second side, last time. And then jellyfish your way down. Let's take your feet and knees into the air so you'll have this sort of tabletop position, but then let's bring the knees in a little closer. And then take your hands to the knees and press the knees open, or away from you rather, opening up the space between your thighs and your chest, and holding onto the knees. Let that stretch the back of your body into a nice deep abdominal curl. And then from there, try to hold the position and transfer your hands around to the back of your head. Let your ribs get heavier while your head presses into your hands. And then from here, we're going to take the knees open, heels together. I'm going to try to do a little 12 o'clock here. And while it's a different position, all together, see if you can still feel that energy coming along the inner thighs into the pelvic floor, into your low abdominals. And remember, the jellyfish is like a full being, even though it has all these parts, it's just this being that is one. And that's the idea of this image, is to kind of feel the oneness of all of your connections coming together to make a whole movement. And the jellyfish is also powerful and strong, but it's not a dense kind of muscular creature, right? It's a supple, almost liquid flowing entity. So your connection here doesn't have to be grippy and muscly. Let's do that again, 2 more times. And 1, and hold, keep it, bring the knees together, toes together, and then tap one foot, even if it doesn't reach the mat. And again. And then add your rotation with the upper body towards your high knee. And I know there's a lot going on here, so if you can't remember your jellyfish this moment, that's okay, but invite it in anyways. And then bring it center and lower down. We're going to take the knees into the chest, roll a little bit side to side, and then give yourself a little lift up, pushing the knees away. And then transfer your hands both to the left knee as you stretch your right leg out long and low. You're going to reach your left sit bone towards the right big toe. Breathe in, and on the exhale, draw your jellyfish in and up as you switch your legs. One more each side. Bring the knees in and lower down. Take a breath, let your head roll side to side as that neck does work. Even when it's in a great position, you'll feel some engagement, hopefully not stress. And then push the knees into your hands. Let that guide you up into that nice steep ab curl, and then keep the ab curl, but bring the knees in close. Move your hands down towards your ankles. You're going to inhale, reach your arms and legs perhaps straight up to the sky, perhaps a little bit more open. Exhale, pull your jellyfish in and up, bring the knees back in. Inhale, reach. Exhale, jellyfish. Two more. One more. Lower back down. Place your feet on the mat. Take your feet wide, so they can be right out at the edges of a standard mat and be in a great position. Arms long by your sides. We're going to peel up into a bridge, pressing the pelvis to the sky, but sinking the rib cage down. And then from here, we're going to spin the right hip to the mat and bring it back up. And spin the left hip down and rise up. Feel the twist of your belt buckle, turning left, turning right. Keep your knees in the same location, so you're kind of turning away from the right knee, turning away from the left, and then bring it to balance and roll it down. Take your knees into your chest, roll side to side, and then take your hands to the back of your thighs, and we'll push the knees away and roll up. Land your feet on the mat, and then choose your own adventure here. The version we can all do typically is the slow roll, which is deeply challenging and really engaging for the abdominals. We'll float one foot and the other into the air, and then push the thighs into your hands and guide your pelvis back. Feel your jellyfish connection here as you roll down. Inhale the head and shoulders to the mat. Exhale, press the knees away. Jellyfish your way back up. Balance at the top. If you'd like to continue there, please do. The next stop on the train is to take your shoulders back, hands to the front of the shins, pull the abdominals back from the thighs, and find that jellyfish connection as you roll with some momentum back to the shoulders and back up, using your abdominals and your pelvic floor as your brakes. If you become more rigid when you do that and you stop rolling so nicely, maybe you'll come back to that deeper, slower version. It's not less effort. This just allows you to be more refined in your connections. And then if you'd like to try one more step along the path to, adventure, you can take your hands to your lower legs, anywhere from calf to ankles, and stretch one leg to straight and then the other. It's all the same exercise, just different leg positions and different speeds. From here, shoulders shrug down, legs are active, and then we're going to roll back just to our shoulders, not onto our head and neck, and then come back up. And sometimes we don't make it back to the top on our first or even our third try, but use your deep awareness of your body, paying attention, finding that jellyfish energy, your heart open, and come up to the top wherever you are. Bring the legs together. Try to hold by releasing the hands, And then rolling down vertebra by vertebra. Bend the knees in. Reach the arms long. Everybody knees bent. And then we're going to reach the arms out to the side and circle. Stretch the legs perhaps to a soft knee bend or straight coming up to your teaser. Inhale, exhale, roll back down. Knees in. Exhale, circle. Stretch and roll up. Heart to the sky. Exhale, scoop and roll back down. Bend it in. One more time. Exhale. Use your hands on the legs if you need to. And then bend the knees in. Help yourself down to the mat and rest. Let your head turn side to side. Let's take a rock and roll up to seated and then come to kneeling. I'm going to reset my mat a little bit as it tends to drift this way, always this way. Okay, so we're going to come to kneeling in the center of the mat with the mat stretched out left to right. We're going to take our arms wide to the sides. We'll cartwheel over to the right. The left leg is going to stretch out long, and we're going to press our right hip forward. And then we're going to lower and lift the left leg, the free leg. Two more, and one and hold. Take the top arm long overhead, and then cat stretch round, pull the elbow and the knee together. Reach out, stretch again, long through that left side. Pull in, reach out. Flex together. Inhale to stretch, one more. And lengthen, and then cartwheel back through the center, all the way over to the other side. Stretch the right leg out long. Press the left hip forward, lower and lift. So that hip on the right is where you're feeling that work. Core is still connected. And 3, and 2, and 1. Hold, reach your top arm long overhead. Flex, cat stretch, pull the elbow and the knee together. Reach it out long and flex together. Find your inner animal. And one more. And gather in. Stretch long and then cartwheel all the way home. Whew. Awesome. And then take your arms out to the sides. Maybe turn on your mat if you want to have more mat under your feet. If not, you can stay just as you are. We're going to stack up tall, bring the ribs right over the pelvis, and then as we bring the arms forward, we're going to lean back. Inhale, open. Exhale, think of bringing your bottom ribs back from your hands. And open. Tilt your pelvis as if you're going to lay your sacrum on your heels. Flat on the back. And one more time. And then reach your arms up. Circle them around to your back. Interlace your hands and stretch your knuckles back. As you do that, push your hips forward. Lift your heart up. And then release. Circle the hands to the mat. Take the hands out in front of you and then tuck your toes under. Your hands probably need to come a little further forward than your all fours position. And then we're going to stretch the hips up and back. And find your downward facing dog. Soften the knees. Stretch the legs towards straight. Run in place. Back and away where we were in the beginning, where we were loving on our feet. Feel those feet in space on the mat, in relationship to your ankles and your calves, all that movement there. And then we'll take knees soft, knees stretched long. Take your right leg up to the sky. Stretch that left calf. Open the right hip. Set it down. Left leg. And down. And then walk your hands towards your feet. Make your way back. Take your knees soft. Exhale, push into the ground. Roll all the way up. And reach the arms up to the sky. At the top, stretch them wide. And then roll and rotate your way around your central axis.
Sort of shaking off again any residual tension in the arms, any harboring of negativity that doesn't serve you, any judgments of yourself or others that don't serve you. I'd argue they all don't. And then we'll take our arms out to the sides, take a big stretchy circle up to the top, bring your palms together, and then press your palms into one another as they come down to meet at your heart. Keep pressing into your fingertips here, but let your palms separate and create big space between your hands, opening up some volume in the space in front of your heart. It's the Hakini Mudra, representing spacious heart. So if you can find that space in your heart right now, just opening up and offering this to your day, a little spaciousness. All right, friends, thank you so much for joining me. As always, thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you feel just delightful and ready for your day. If you have any questions or feedback, of course, please leave them in the comments below. If you'd like to reach me more directly, you can find me on my website at arwenbrooke.com. And as always, you can follow me on Instagram at arwenbrooke_Pilates. Thanks, and I hope you have a beautiful day and see you again soon.